Chapter 190, The Earth Stage Hurricane Secret Practicing Room. This chapter is updated by Novels.pl. No wonder the muscle-growing pill was a fourth-class healing pill. It contained strong essences of spiritual blood and nature. As Zhang Yuochen refined the pill's spirit, the wound on his left shoulder began to heal visibly. Within 2 hours, the wound had completely healed. After his wound had healed, he separated from Chen Xie and headed towards the Mount Sent crossing. With my current strength, without revealing the heart integrated into sword or the space domain, I could challenge a warrior at the dawn state of the Earth realm. Perhaps I could even defeat them. However, if I ran into a superior of Zhuo Lengxuan's level, I'd have no chance at all. Not even if I played all my trump cards. The difference in cultivation realms is too large. Zhang Yuochen was eager to reach the Earth realm, but he had no choice but to suppress his cultivation and try to break into the ultimate realm of the Black Realm. Furthermore, Zhang Yuochen wanted not only to attempt the ultimate realm but more importantly, he wanted to consolidate his foundations in this realm. Zhuo Lengxuan obviously won't give up. If he comes after me again, how am I going to deal with it? Zhang Yuochen frowned deeply. He was under extreme pressure. He arrived at Mount Saint crossing again. The guards Huo Sheng and Zhang Minggong did not dare block the way. They quickly allowed him to enter the mountain. Even Yue Qianfan had been defeated by him. Both of the guards were only warriors at the mid-stage of the Earth realm. They were definitely not capable of challenging him. Furthermore, Zhang Yuochen had Chen Xie's support. They didn't dare to offend him. It was only after Zhang Yuochen had walked some distance away that Zhao Minggong and Huo Sheng began to discuss him in hushed tones. Is it true? Did he really defeat Yue Qianfan? Huo Sheng hadn't personally witnessed the battle and was still a little skeptical. Zhao Minggong replied in a low voice, "Of course it's true. I saw it myself. Zhang Yuochen is not someone to mess with. He hasn't even broken into the Earth realm yet and he's already this powerful. He'll be even more terrifying when he does." Huo Sheng laughed coldly. So what if he's powerful? If senior sister apprentice Chen hadn't stood up for him, he would have already had his cultivation destroyed by senior brother apprentice Zhuo. He can escape once, but can he escape twice? Anyway, Zhang Yuochen is lucky. Not only is he engaged to Commandery Princess Yanjun, he also has the favor of senior sister apprentice Chen. Zhao Minggong said with envy, "Internal students like us barely warrant a glance from them." Huo Sheng sneered coldly. "Do you really think that this is a good thing for him? How many people in the Omen Ridge chase after the Commandery Princess Yanjun and senior sister apprentice Chen? How many people can he defeat? Just watch. Zhang Yuochen won't last long." At Mount Sent crossing, there were a total of 6 Hurricane Secret Practicing Rooms. 3 of them were Earth Stage Hurricane Secret Practicing Rooms and were specifically for warriors who had reached the Earth realm. The other 3 were Heaven Stage Hurricane Secret Practicing Rooms and were for warriors who had reached the Heaven realm. When Zhang Yuochen arrived at the Secret Practice Rooms, there was one empty Earth Stage Hurricane Secret Practicing Room. The person guarding the rooms was a silver-robed elder. He sat cross-legged on the ground and appeared to be practicing. Only when Zhang Yuochen roused him did he slowly open his eyes. "You're not an internal student?" The elder looked at Zhang Yuochen deeply with a gaze that pierced like a needle. Zhang Yuochen replied, "I am an Outer Palace student of the Western Campus." The elder shook his head gently. "If your cultivation has not reached the Earth realm, it can be very dangerous to enter the Earth Stage Hurricane Secret Practicing Room. You should consider this carefully." Zhang Yuochen replied, "Since I dare to come to Mount Sent crossing, I have considered this thoroughly." Zhang Yuochen needed to quickly practice Shadow of the Royal Wind Dragon to succeed to the next level. No matter how dangerous it was, he had to enter the room to practice. The elder had seen far too many Outer Palace students enter the secret practicing rooms full of confidence, only to emerge immediately covered in wounds. These people wouldn't accept defeat until death looked them in the face. The elder did not attempt to reason further with Zhang Yuochen. He took out a transparent sensing pearl and gave it to him. "Remember 2 things. First, if it gets too difficult in the practicing room, break the sensing pearl immediately. Don't try to be tough. This is a matter of life and death. Second, it costs 100 merits per visit to open the secret practicing room. You can stay inside for up to a fortnight at most. However, if you are only inside for a minute and cannot go on and come out, the merits will not be returned. Are you ready? Yes, I'm ready. Zhang Yuochen accepted the sensing pearl from the elder. He approached the entrance of the Earth Stage Hurricane secret practicing room and waited for the doors to open. Boom! The huge stone gate slowly swung open. Behind the stone gate, there was a door of light connecting the ground to the roof. Above the door of light, lines of inscription of array rippled like water. Zhang Yuochen stepped inside. His body was immediately enveloped by the light door and he entered into the dark secret room. It was a vast sphere-shaped room, approximately 50 meters in diameter. The surrounding stone walls were as strong as iron. They were inlaid with a mosaic of spiritual crystals which glittered like stars in the night sky. Aside from this, there was nothing else in the secret practicing room. Lines of inscription suddenly lit up on the stone walls, linking the spiritual crystals together and creating a completely sealed array. PHFFF. A wind strong enough to flatten mountains and seas surged out from the stone walls with an ear-shattering howl. The formerly peaceful room instantly transformed into ravaging hurricanes and raging wind, strong enough to tear a person apart. Although Zhang Yuochen had prepared beforehand, he was still blown across the room by the raging wind. He slammed into the stone wall opposite with a crash. His internal organs shook, and he was in tremendous pain. It felt like he had been split open. Fortunately, he was strong enough to handle it, otherwise, that one hit would have wounded him tremendously. This is indeed an Earth Stage practicing room. If a warrior at the completion of the Black Realm was in here, he would be seriously injured right now. Before he could react, the stone wall behind him released a mighty gust of wind sending him flying again. At the same time, strong wind came out from other directions. He was like a leaf being blown about. He could not control his movements at all. The wind soon slammed him against another wall. Boom, boom. In the relentless frenzy of the raging winds, only a minute had passed. And yet, Zhang Yuochen had slammed against the stone wall 43 times. Sometimes his back hit the walls. Sometimes it was his face, other times it was his head. Under endless attacks, he finally became injured. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Am I going to leave the practicing room like this? No, this is not happening. He clenched his teeth and fought to remain focused. As the next gust of wind came along, he quickly analyzed the strength and direction of the wind. He executed Shadow of the Royal Wind Dragon and took the 9 footwork within the wind, hoping to fight against it. Boom! Zhang Yuochen could only withstand it for 2 seconds before he was blown out again. His right shoulder slammed into the stone wall and his hand went numb. A wave of intense pain surged from his shoulder. It felt like the bone had been broken. Persistence. Once again, he was being blown by the wind, but he worked hard to control his center of gravity. He executed the Shadow of the Royal Wind Dragon and fought against the wind from all directions. Outside the practicing room, the silver-gowned elder stared at the door. His eyes revealed a hint of amusement. The kid isn't bad. He's managed to last a whole minute. That's already better than many of the internal students. I wonder how long he will last. Most of the internal students lasted less than a minute before escaping the secret practicing rooms with severe injuries. Even some of the internal students at the initial stage of the Earth Realm couldn't last a full minute when they first entered the Earth Stage Hurricane secret practicing rooms. The silver-gowned elder had thought Zhang Yuochen was overly arrogant, but now he looked forward to seeing what he could accomplish. In the second minute, Zhang Yuochen's body was only slammed against the stone wall 37 times. It was an improvement. He gradually adapted to the environment inside the secret practicing room. Although he continued to get slammed into the walls, it was less frequent. 2 hours passed very quickly. The raging wind in the secret practicing room suddenly stopped, and Zhang Yuochen fell to the floor with a crash. There was not an inch of uninjured skin on his body. Even his bones were broken in 3 places. Finally, it's been 2 hours. He endured the pain and pushed himself up to sit cross-legged on the floor. He retrieved a healing pill from inside his jade space bracelet. He was racing against the clock to refine and absorb the pill so he could heal his injuries. The wind of the array within the practicing room was not continuous. After being activated for 2 hours, it stopped for 2 hours. This 2 hours of respite was very important. It could be used to heal injuries as well as review the fruit of practicing. Even though it's only been 2 hours, I've improved greatly. In the beginning, I hit the stone wall 43 times in 1 minute. By the end, I was only hitting the wall 27 times per minute. He estimated that if he could control himself and conquer the wind of the Earth Stage Hurricane secret practicing room, his Shadow of the Royal Wind Dragon would reach the level of Succeed. To perfectly conquer the power of the wind did not simply mean being able to avoid the attacks. It meant being able to move within the secret practicing room naturally, or even using the wind to his advantage, to add it to his own power. He's been inside for 2 hours. The silver-gowned elder outside was extremely shocked. He was also a little worried that perhaps Zhang Yuochen had died inside the room. After all, an outer palace student shouldn't have lasted so long inside. Even the internal students had to be at least a warrior at the advanced stage of the Earth realm to be able to stay inside the secret practicing rooms for more than 2 hours. He had given Zhang Yuochen a sensing pearl which he could break instantly to deactivate the array inside. However, sometimes warriors didn't have time to break the sensing pearls. Once this happened, a warrior inside the practicing room was bound to die. The silver-gowned elder was worried. He opened the giant stone doors and looked towards the door of light inside. There was an image of the practicing room on the door of light. He saw Zhang Yuochen sitting cross-legged in the center of the room. His whole body was enveloped in genuine qi and he was healing himself. Seeing this, the silver-gowned elder rubbed his eyes and once again looked to the door. Is he really an outer palace student?